All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. My name is Todd Brous. I am your host for the evening. I'm here with Susan Schultz and Ashley Wilson. We would like to welcome everyone to HBAP Startups. So let's get started. Our mission, for those of you who are new to the group, we have a few announcements that we do at the very beginning of each meeting. We're going to do some short networking social breakout rooms, then we'll come back together for our main event. First off is our mission. We're here to help foster and fortify an innovation and entrepreneur community coming out of the Harvard Business Analytics program. And our goal is to provide our members with the tools, knowledge, leadership, and confidence necessary to create and grow their businesses from the ground up. Susan.
And there are a bunch of ways to get and stay in touch with us. There's our website. There is the YouTube channel where all the cool presentations where we have permission to post them are where they live. So go and see all the really, really wonderful presentations that we've had on here. There's a newsletter. You can sign up for it. It's in the chat. And if you went to HBAP, there's a Slack channel still on entrepreneurship where you can get more information. And then, as always, bring somebody along. This is a really cool community. And then a reminder that as long as we have permission, the recordings are posted publicly on YouTube. So just be a bit mindful of anything that you say that might be a little bit juicy. All right. So upcoming always Todd's Thursday office hours, then some ideas of stuff that Todd and I and others would like to talk about. So taking an idea to an app with AI, a course on that, post-labor economics, a live session discussion. And then many of you may remember we did a couple of workshops on customer discovery. So when people have finished getting their data and analyzing it, we'll come back and show what people have learned and the results that they got through their customer discovery experiments. And then a reminder again, code of conduct, right? This is a really, really special community. So we want to make sure that we maintain this inclusive environment for everyone of collaboration, confidentiality, and trust. And so, as always, all rights are reserved by the presenter. We follow the honor codes, and just a reminder that no personal recording of these sessions so that we honor the rights that each presenter has. And then if you have anything you want to talk about, anything you want to present to this group, anything you want to brainstorm with the group, just let us know. Or if there's anything where you need some help, just let us know and we will help you.
All right, let's do some social breakout rooms. Uh, Give me a second. We need to recreate them. My bad. Uh, New updates on Zoom have broke all of this stuff amazingly. All right, about 5 minutes on the clock. I'll see you in about 5, 6 minutes. Randomly selected group of people, so have fun. All right, welcome back from your breakout rooms. I hope you all had fun meeting new people, catching up with old friends. Just a little reminder, we never mind. Don't worry about the survey at the end. I know you're not going to fill it out. It's fine. Just ignore it. But if you feel like filling it out, definitely please give us the feedback. Which is also another reminder that tonight's recording will be made public on YouTube. But at the end of the live session, we will end the recording and we will stick around for some overtime so that we can hang out and debate this even further. All right. What else did I want to say? I don't know. So it is my honor to introduce tonight. No, we don't have a speaker tonight. It's just me, and we're going to have a live session discussion on this great topic of software as a service is dead. And yes, that's a question. All right. So what I need to do real quick is I need to stop sharing. I need to switch slide decks for a second. So please bear with me while I do this. And I'm going to pull up a new deck. Presenter display, presenter view. All right. Takes a little bit of time. Sorry about that. All right. One more click. All right. Here we go. All right. So can you guys see SaaS is dead? I hope you can see it. All right. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Todd Brous, and I'm going to be your instructor, guide, and cruise director for tonight. Drinks will be served on the Lido deck. If you get that joke, thank you. You're old. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm currently working on and advising a number of startups. I teach the very first artificial intelligence class at the School of Visual Arts called AI for Creatives, Strategies for Success. And I see a number of my students and alumni here tonight, so thank you all for coming. Um, and I'm also going to be teaching a class at Cal Lutheran University starting next month. Thank you, Kelly, on how to build an how to build a platform using AI. So that's going to be very fun and very exciting. I research open innovation and artificial intelligence, and my latest paper is on measuring open innovation performance. So hopefully that'll get accepted into R&D management. I'll find out in about a month. All right, so for those of you who are, again, new, if you've never done an HBS or an HBAP case study discussion, just a couple of ground rules that we would like everybody to follow. Please raise your Zoom hands as part of the discussion and unmute only when I call on you. Don't just unmute and start speaking. That's against the rules. It's my job to make sure that everybody gets a chance to speak. So also, please try and get to the point quickly, and I try and learn from this myself. I fail religiously on this. Um, and the goal is here to move the conversation forward, not backwards. And also, I noticed some people have your Zoom names. If you could rename your full name, that would be very, very helpful to me. Let me know what it is that you want me to refer to you, so I can, when you raise your hand or I cold call on you, I know exactly who you are. Okay. So, and again, my goal here is to help structure the conversation, and I will work to ask questions. And if necessary, I'm going to try and play the devil's advocate. So that's my job here. So tonight's not a webinar, and it's not a prediction session, and it's definitely not a eulogy, even though the title says SaaS is dead. Okay. But the statement SaaS is dead is intentionally provocative, like this is advertising 101. But the real question is not whether SaaS disappears. The real question is whether the economic assumptions that made SaaS one of the greatest wealth creation engines over the past 20 some odd years is actually still intact. And software as a service was a near perfect business model. And then in a matter of months, AI entered the system and software stocks lose massive value. Founders started embedding AI features practically overnight, and buyers began asking a lot of different questions. And also, engineers can now build in weeks what used to take quarters. Actually, we can build in days what used to take quarters. So that's the structure for tonight. We're going to start by, so here's the structure for tonight. We're going to start by defining what made traditional SaaS powerful. We're going to examine what AI is truly changing, not at the surface level, but hopefully at the structure level. That's up to you guys. And then we're going to debate what markets may be overreacting or replacing reality, repricing reality. And then we'll try and pretend that we're the CEOs of these companies and then decide what to do. And then we'll confront if AI, if what replaces SaaS, if actually anything. Um, so I think I got through my notes there. So let's begin with something relatively simple, I hope, and the question is, what is a traditional SaaS business model? And let me switch over to my other deck because I'm going to take notes. I think this is it. Yes. So what is this is where we want to start the conversation. So the prompt to you guys is, what is a SaaS business model? What is a traditional SaaS business model? Anybody want to start us off with that? How do we define that? Victor, I'm going to cold call on you. What is a traditional SaaS business model? What are some of the features of that?
Well, that was cold, but let me give it a shot. Um, Software as a service is, I think, the essence of it is that you're bringing an outside software in to your enterprise and running on that software rather than developing it internally.
Okay, so it's a buy versus build. You're not building the software, you're buying it. Okay, I like that. What else? What actually made traditional SaaS models powerful?
It tends to
Please,
be able to
please
be updated.
raise hands. Scotty, it's okay.
Sorry, I've gotten so out
Keep
of this.
going, keep going.
Um, it's generally be able to test and change and update from a central cloud location, so that change and pricing can change very dynamically.
So pricing is dynamic for a SaaS business model?
It's much more dynamic than a physical property that is set out. The price tends to have a lot more stickiness.
So the dynamic, so you're saying that like the different costs for the customer will change depending on what?
I'm not using dynamic as in like a dynamic pricing model
Oh,
like Uber does. I'm
okay.
using dynamic as in the you tend to have a lot of pricing power because you can make changes in one location that change out to the entire customer base at the same time.
Got it. Okay, so it's centralized. Now I understand. Kenneth, and then we'll go to Ashley.
To go off Scotty's point, SaaS traditionally based on they have different subscription tiers, and sometimes you pay monthly, sometimes you pay yearly. And I think the benefit of a SaaS business is that the provider hosts the software on their servers, and they update the software perpetually over time. So you get the benefit of using the software without having to maintain and update it yourself.
Okay. Updates are done over time by the vendor. Perfect. Love it. Ashley.
Once established, you can often scale it easier without adding headcount.
Easy to scale. I like that. Easy to scale. So what are some of the mechanisms for the easy to scale?
Well, you build the core with technology, and so you're more into what Scotty was describing, which is you're iterating on code, but you're not necessarily.
Okay. Adolfo.
I do make a distinction between SaaS as a technology and SaaS as a business model. SaaS started as a technology when the cloud took off, and so there was infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and the higher tier was obviously software as a service. So we need to understand that. But I think was disruptive about the business model was the pricing model, right? Which is
Okay.
pay as you go. And some other people mentioned tiers with free tiers, which really, really help with adoption. But is that flexibility built into the business model and the pricing model that I think helps adoption very, very rapidly?
Okay, I like that. Awesome. Victor, you got another one. Anyone else? Just raise
Yes.
your hand.
I just wanted to add that the element of a SaaS being more representative of the wisdom of the crowd in the sense that you're not within your own four walls building something so custom. You're taking something that's evolved perhaps across industry verticals, across many years of application development and customization that became standard offering within the tool. So there's functionality that you can just pick and choose off the shelf that you may never have conceived of trying to build.
So I like that. So the wisdom of the crowd is that the embedded vendor, the expertise is from the vendor. So you don't have to hire or build your own experts internally. You're just outsourcing that. I love that. Dean and then Scotty.
Yeah, I want to be a bit more specific about the hosting. I think it's typically one code base that you'd provide, but you'd have which you'd host. You'd be obviously it's multi-tenanted, so you would be able to then have it separated by the client. But it's typically one code base that you source that you support in the old days or in the
Got
current
it.
days. Yeah, it's a
Awesome.
bit more specific.
And that makes it easier to support and
Correct.
maintain and
Yeah.
grow and develop. I love that.
Yep. Yep.
Scotty, you got another one.
I was going to say one thing that goes off of Dean's, which is because you're hosting one cloud base, the incremental margins on new customers are like very, very, very high. And with the easy to scale piece, it also often tends to be a land and expand strategy. Not only are you trying to push people up the subscription tiers, but you can easily add functionality onto your product.
I love that. Yep, absolutely. Land and expand. That's brilliant. All right. What else? What are we missing here about the traditional SaaS business model? Kenneth.
Yeah, to go off the easy to scale point, I think the best thing about a SaaS business is the more users you have, the more kind of validation you have that you've been able to solve a pain point. And the fact that you can just get, if you solve one singular pain point and all these all these people who share the same pain point are using this one software, that's what makes, I feel like, makes SaaS like was incredible, at least in the past.
At least in the past. Love it. Perfect. Cardam, welcome. You found the link. I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you. Just building on that land and expand comment, which was really important. There's also kind of the flip side of that, and the flip side of the subscription model for the vendor, in that I think there is an expectation for innovation levels that is much higher than traditional software, because you need to be adding value continuously over time, not just to expand, but also to keep your existing customer base.
So give me an example of the expectation of innovation. So like, can you give me a hard example of a SaaS company that is constantly innovating over time?
Yeah, Salesforce, I would say. I mean, they're
Okay,
not just point
Salesforce.
CRM, they are a platform. You can build all sorts of apps on them, and there's an expectation that they're building an ecosystem for you that you can then absorb innovation from.
So has Salesforce changed their underlying technology over the decades that they've been around, or is their
Absolutely.
core feature mostly the same?
They've completely changed their platform. Their
Okay.
core offering is the same, but they offer many, many more things. And there's much more in that core CRM than you would have gotten 20 years ago.
Got it. So they have innovated. So and there's that expectation of the customer that you're going to constantly improve the platform for me, and I'm going to just keep paying approximately the same or maybe an upsell over time.
Yeah.
Okay, love it. All right, anything else that we're missing about the traditional SaaS business model? Anyone else want to take a stab at this? I'll start cold calling people. No one else has anything else to add. All right. So again, I think we kind of covered this. We've established what makes SaaS valuable and powerful. The subscription pricing, the centralized development where the vendor builds once and sells to many people. There's that low marginal distribution cost. So the software is copied and not manufactured. There's ongoing updates and maintenance. And the customer value is really tied to access and not actual direct ownership of the code base. The economics really rely on scale, that high upfront R&D cost for the SaaS vendor and the low marginal cost translates into this long-term recurring revenue. And historically, it's been a winning business model because it's cheaper than buying for the customers. It's faster to deploy, it's easier to maintain, and it's continuously improving. All right, so let me move over to the next. I have some other slides here. So this is the cloud service models. I forgot I had these. So the infrastructure as a service, the platform as a service, and then the SaaS as a service. These are the cloud service models that we're dealing with. The SaaS model diagram. So you have your SaaS application. Usually it's on the internet. The cloud provider that's doing the infrastructure. They are the hosting and managing, and it's delivered via the internet. So your end users are accessing it through whatever device they're using. There's also this benefit of this flywheel, so this upfront R&D investment, the single code base, many customers and subscribers, that recurring revenue and that reinvestment into the product generates this continuously improving business flywheel that Cardam mentioned. And then there are several moats that are with the traditional SaaS business model, from switching costs to these premium multiples. So it's expensive to change your vendor. So once you've started working with the company, it's almost impossible to get out of it, right? It's just they've got all our data. We've trained all of our users. It's just hard to get there. Then sticky revenue, so it's recurring subscriptions, contract renewals, reduced churn, this predictable growth that the Wall Street loves to see, that they can look at this and they can say, oh, we can see how this company is growing, and they can price the stock accordingly. Really not sure how that would work in private equity and private stuff, but it's predictable growth. And then the premium multiples, so that high company valuation, investor confidence, and market leadership. So, okay, what the heck just happened with artificial intelligence? A lot just happened. Where's my next slide? So these are just some screen grabs. Why is the Beautify the slide showing up? That I grabbed off of Reuters just to show you their, I guess, what is this? The S&P 500 Software and Services Index. Just this was, I think this was a year Yeah, this is the one-year chart. And we just had this massive dip. So that's one of the things that happened. And I've got another slide. I think this is the one 6 month. So, okay, a lot of things have just changed. A lot of money was lost. Uh, so what happened here? What has AI actually changed? And this is the uncomfortable question. What if AI is just adding features to that system? What is it dissolving? What's going on here? And let's examine the first cracks that might be forming here. So the question that I want to ask everyone is, what has AI actually changed? So is AI simply just a feature upgrade that we're just adding something that we mentioned earlier that you can continuously add stuff? Or is it actually attacking the foundations of what SaaS economics is all about? Ashley.
I'm gonna go with speed to market.
Sorry, say that again. Speed.
Speed to market.
Speed to market. Explain.
So it massively reduces cost to launch, barriers to entry. It reminds me of do you remember when Robinhood entered the app space and it made trade investing more like, they called it for the retail investor. So it took it
Mhm.
off out of the hands of folks who felt like you had to pay high cost to entry and high cost to day trade, and instead you could do it from your phone. That's what it feels like to me. Is
Okay.
you can get to market faster, you can get there cheaper, and what it really means is the value of SaaS starts to plummet because
Ooh.
all of that back end, all of the engineering costs and the upfront investment becomes worth so much less than it once was because you can just simply launch it faster with AI. And that means it becomes more like fast food of technology.
Okay. I love this. Wait, you said fast food of technology?
That is what I said, yeah.
Okay. I have to write that down, and I like that. I'm gonna actually go ahead and bold that because I need to remember it. Thank you, Ashley. Dean, what
Yep.
has AI changed here?
Yeah. So picture like Salesforce. If you were a user not using it a lot, you would have to, today's traditional world, you would have to go into the software, learn it, and actually like create a record. You'd have to figure out and work it out. The biggest difference with AI is the tool is coming to you. So AI's created this tooling infrastructure that allows you to, using unstructured language, bring that tooling to you. Please create a record, blah, blah, blah. So that tool is coming to you. And that's the biggest difference. So that cognitive offload of how do I do it is the biggest difference. And that gets scale because then you can multiply it with agents. Hey, can you do that for me? So I
So I
think that's the
love that.
biggest difference. The biggest
So
difference.
but that's from the perspective of the SaaS customer.
Exactly.
That
I'm taking it
all
from
of
the
a
customer
sudden
point of view.
the SaaS customer now has got an easier, pleasurable experience. Okay, that might be misinterpreted, but a better experience, but with Salesforce because the AI is going to do it for them.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
good. I love that. Dean, thank you. Scotty, and then we'll go to Andy.
You just undermined the expertise of the knowledge workers in this industry. So you completely democratized the language that had been a barrier to creativity.
Okay, elaborate. What
So
expertise is being democratized here specifically?
specifically coding languages.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's changed the SaaS. So in other words, I can now do what if there's a democratization of software development?
So I would take it all the way back to there was a time at which a person could get paid for reading letters to people who could not read. Um, you could get paid in a coding world to code for people who could not code. And that expertise has just been taken away. The work that you put into uh, learning that coding language, learning the syntax, experimenting with it, knowing which codes work better has just been taken away.
Okay, I love that. By the way, I would love to have a job where I could read letters to people who could not read. That would be like I would have so much fun in that. Uh, I think that job has passed me over. Andy, and then we'll go to Kenneth.
Yeah, so if I were to just your specific question, I don't think AI on its own is actually rocking the boat. It's what AI has been integrated into, like the agentic AI, the platforms ability. These platforms are also SaaSes, right? Their integration into them to allow you to say, "Hey, please create me this website that does X, Y, and Z." AI on its own would have just been a sandbox in your facility and inside of you know clusters of computers. But the way that AI combined with platform combined with agentic functionality is allowing one thing that was described on the prior slide by Dean was there's this single code base mentality that in the past created a problem for companies who went from a local like an ERP instance going to Salesforce or a CRM instance going to Salesforce. They had to fit into a box. And with AI, people can come back and say, my business is a little different than your business. So I can now create using this agentic functionality my own custom CRM or my own customized ERP system. So it kind of brings, it's almost cyclical, but the ability to do it is so much quicker than hiring a developer in the past to develop something. And there's some semblance, I say some semblance of standardization. So I would say it's kind of almost the best of both worlds where you're kind of building on a platform that maybe you can hire people into support, but you can also move in more of a custom approach. So that's kind of where I see people thinking about this, because if Salesforce was perfect and the pricing model is perfect, why would they go out and develop their own? What they're saying is, okay, there's inadequacies to the current SaaS, and no SaaS company will say, okay, well, in this case, since you're leaving, everyone wants to have customized, we're going to change our entire model. Every customer is going to be custom, because then it destroys their marginal cost of customer acquisition.
Okay.
So this kind of brings kind of a revolution of every body can do kind of their own thing now. And what was mentioned, it's democratizing it, so it allows it to happen. But I kind of wonder if we're going to have a backlash on the support end.
All right. Well, that's a lot. Okay. Yes, there could be a significant backlash, and that's something that we need to discuss and go into. Kenneth, and then Victor.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd say the one thing SaaS businesses have to worry about now with AI is increased churn, because they essentially have to provide more value to their customers. Because now that you have like things like Microsoft Copilot Studio, right? Given a pain point that you have at work, right? If you're able to just describe it well enough, this agent can carry out that task for you. So then the question arises, okay, why do we need this SaaS business at all, right? Why are we paying this subscription? So I think that's the biggest thing or adversity that SaaS businesses today have to deal with.
I love it. Victor, and then Nazir.
Yeah, so part of what I'm seeing is that it's challenging our fundamental understanding of productivity, which is then challenging our fundamental understanding of value, which is then challenging our fundamental understanding of measuring metrics, which is pushing on what we currently understand as competitiveness in the marketplace. And that pushes on product pricing, and it pushes on ... It seems like the whole landscape, from this perspective, the whole landscape is affected by what AI brings to the table, starting, I think, with productivity.
Okay, so I like, the productivity is a big factor here. I like that point. Thank you, Victor. Nazir.
Yeah, as a user of SaaS, for the SaaS applications, I'm not talking about Salesforce, but for the SaaS applications, which is more collating data, providing trends, and particularly for workflow where you have many different independent SaaS applications which are combined and have some friction on them. I feel the whole workflow will be disrupted by AI, and all the SaaS applications would basically, the need would go away, because with agentic AI, I can pull all of them together in a much easier form without friction, almost automated in a smart way.
Okay, we're going to talk in a second about the build versus buy, but I want Cardam. Is there anything else that we're missing here about what has AI actually changed? Cardam, are you there? Did we lose you, Cardam? Oh, there you are.
Oh, I am. Sorry. You kind of just said it, but I think there are a couple angles to this, right? It's the source of the value is locked up in the data right now. And what has changed is the expectation that the most important thing right now, I've been working at a company trying to design agentic workflows for go-to-market roles, right? And the reality is there's such a fragmentation of our data across all these different SaaS platforms that it's the number one thing I want from every vendor right now is just better access to their APIs so that I can actually design agentic workflows. So API access and how your APIs are orchestrated is becoming incredibly important.
So give me APIs so I can get to my data that you're holding on to for me. But that's also, so in that scenario, you're dealing with
a game of hostage on the data side. I suspect a lot of these SaaS vendors are just going to try to play hostage on the data side and try to sort of hang in there that way.
Okay. Well, that's a great point, actually. So they have access to my data. I'm the customer. They've got my data, and they're holding on to it, and they won't give me an API so that I could do my own AI. You said these agentic workflows on top of it.
Because they don't want to be disintermediated.
Exactly. They don't want. Oh, beautiful. Can't spell this. Disintermediation. I love that word, and I cannot spell it. Thank you, Carter. Perfect. Andy, and then Scotty.
One other thing that we've talked about in other circles is just the costs and economics of how the AI works versus the AI solutions work versus a SaaS model. With AI, you're heavily more compute and consumption based. Now, the SaaS model is seat based, and there are a few SaaS models that are consumption based, but most of them are not directly tied to how your compute works. So that flip is a heavy switch, because if you don't, you can use Salesforce very fully compared to someone who's not using it fully, and you may end up spending the same price. Whereas in a AI model, someone who heavily uses your tool, you could incur a huge cost from the compute cycle if it's not done right. So right. it is sizably different in that way.
Consumption based is a key differentiator here. And going back to the previous business models, I mean, you said AI platforms are SaaS. I kind of question that only because of the consumption-based aspects. Well, traditional SaaS does not have the consumption. It's marginal incremental costs for more seats. So the consumption doesn't really exist in the traditional SaaS. But here with AI, we do now have to navigate that consumption.
And what I was meaning about that AI is sitting on top of SaaS is there are SaaS platforms that you may pay per seat that you then run AI against. Okay. So AI on its own without some sort of platform that you can run against, it's been around for a little while now, and it hasn't really become the threat to SaaS until recently. And it's that recent shift of the ease of these platforms that allow you to use AI in a way that you can spin up these, because the web serving world, maybe it is not AI, but it's just a web front end. You might pay more like traditional SaaS, but how you create it would be more AI.
Love it. Okay, Scotty, then Adolfo, and then Kenneth, and then I want to move on. What are we missing here? What else has changed?
So I had two ones. It actually builds off of Andy's consumption-based versus seat-based. I think that you actually then end up going seat-based to consumption-based to outcome-based.
Ah, love it.
And secondly, we've been talking about it from like an engineering and business perspective. But another thing that AI does is it kind of undermines collective trust because is so much more disinformation easily made. There becomes a new premium on both critical thinking and whatever tribe you choose to be into of a trusted source of information.
But how does that affect the SaaS software as a service? 'Cause that seems like a generative AI and social media problem.
It's a much bigger social media problem, but the question was, what has AI actually changed?
Oh, okay.
And the still having the trust of like, where does your business put its trust in data when you can have like basically fake data being created?
That would be bad on the good bad scale. Fake data. I mean, but synthetic data, okay. Fake data, oh, bad. All right, good. Thank you, Scotty. Adolfo, and then Kenneth.
So if we look at, let's use, for example, OpenAI, it is a platform, right? It matches perfectly the platform model, which is cloud-based access, pay-as-you-go pricing, and you still don't have to worry about the management of the infrastructure. So it's the pretty old model of platform as a service. What has changed, however, I think, in terms of the SaaS applications, is that now the workflows that you work on can be more powerful, right? You have to probably go, many people have said this, that you can go to market easier, you can experiment faster and all that stuff. And here's the fundamental difference I see. Today, all the cost, the consumption model is heavily subsidized, right? It's heavily
Ooh, how
subsidized.
so?
There's evidence, right? So the costs are lower than they're supposed to be. So the question is, will AI really deliver sustainable SaaS applications? I think for me, that is an open question.
So I want to elaborate, go in on this. Costs are subsidized by the investors,
With the
arguably.
investors, correct.
Will AI deliver? Finish that sentence. I missed it.
Oh, what I'm saying is because of the costs are bound to increase because they're being subsidized, would the SaaS model supported by AI platforms be sustainable because the
Okay.
costs will go up? That's the question for me. I don't have an answer, but it's something that we need to look at.
Yeah. And I will say that the marginal costs of each token that one uses, for example, with a large language model, those costs are dropping exponentially. At the same time, and this is Jivon's paradox, the demand is increasing exponentially. So I think we're going to see a convergence there in terms of those costs that are, and we'll be able to continue to deliver the cognitive solutions. Great point, Adolfo. Thank you. Kenneth.
Yeah, I think also to like summarize, I feel like AI has changed fundamentally how, non-technical people and technical people, I guess I'd say also, just view software, like what good software is. In terms of SaaS before was kind of linear, it solved a specific pain point, but now I feel like if you're trying to adopt a SaaS, you're looking for if the software is dynamic enough to solve those edge cases that traditional SaaS companies couldn't have before. So now I feel like even if you are solving a pain point like effectively, people will be like, oh, but does it have AI? Like it's kind of like old school. It's like a flip phone, right? It's not an iPhone. I guess that's how I'd say. So yeah.
Love it. Okay, let me move on to the next question here. This build versus buy, which we kind of touched upon. I want to go in a little bit deeper here. Where's this tipping point? When customers can build software that's tailored exactly to their specific workflow and their specific, needs, does the generic SaaS solution kind of lose its attractiveness? What does this set up? where do we go from here? Ashley, I noticed that your hand was up, so let me pull up my next slide here so I can take notes. Ashley, customer decision, build versus buy.
I think the real interesting point here is what Scotty was saying about it reduces, the need to hire folks that know how to code. They can now speak the language. AI can replace that. It begs the question, why would you spend the price tag associated with buying? Because now the barrier is removed. You can talk to artificial intelligence and tell it exactly what you need, keep iterating on that quickly, bring it up even faster. And when you compare that against the ticket of buying SaaS, it loses its momentum.
Okay, I love that. And I think that that's a really important question that we need to kind of dig into. Why would you buy? Why would you buy? What are the reasons to stick around with SaaS? Nazir.
Yeah, it really decreases the cost of building, and it decreases the cost of customization in building and combining various SaaS into a single entity, all three of them.
Okay, so
When and yeah, decreases the cost of building, customization of building, and combining multiple SaaS into a single entity.
Okay. And again, the customizations, whenever you buy a SaaS, you're paying extra on top of your seats for the customizations. That's one of the ways that these companies are going to make money. But once those customizations are done, how often are you continuing it? Or is it a continuous development that you're always fighting the customizations, or is there a cutoff, do you think?
I think there's always an update on customization because anytime the software is updated, the customization needs to be updated.
Got it. So you're never ending the customizations.
Yep.
It's just part of the buy price. It's a
Yep.
part of the price tag. All right. I love that. Absolutely fantastic. Michelle.
I think one reason to continue buying also would be to have that communal aspect.
Explain.
You're still buying into an ecosystem of both users and developers, which may still be more advantageous than building your own, depending on your business, the current set of skills, and your business's ability to maintain.
Oh, I love that. So you're benefiting from the fact that there's the domain expertise in the SaaS, the users that you can go hire. I can go hire a person who already knows Salesforce or Tableau,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Or
Yeah.
Photoshop. It's like, okay, good. I can go hire that person because I know that they're an expert in that tool. I love that. That's fantastic. Kenneth.
Oh, yeah, I'd say the decision to build or buy, well, I mean many things, but off the top of my head, like how skilled your workforce is, right? Because yeah, AI is great, but even at the company I work at, a lot of people don't know how to do basic prompt engineering. So it's like if your workers are skilled enough to prompt their way into a solution that solves their pain point, then you don't really need to buy a SaaS. You can just build it.
Just build it, right? Just build it. If you have the resources necessary.
Yes. If your
And yeah,
resources are are equipped with the skills, I'd say
and these are human skills still.
yes.
Okay. So the prompt engineering is still a human skill, and and are we at that stage where, or when would we be at that stage where I can just define it and then I don't need those skills? Because if we're seeing that democratization effect of expertise, you're still saying that it's not there yet.
Oh no, I'm saying that often people are like, hey, I don't really know how to talk to the AI to get what I want.
Got it.
So I feel like it depends on the confidence of if you're a business, it depends on the confidence of your workers to iterate through the prompt engineering process to actually land at a solution that works for them.
Got it. And I like that. I don't know how to talk to AI. Come hang out with me and we'll get you through that. I love it. Victor and then Scotty. And by the way, I haven't heard from a lot of people in the room, so please don't make me cold call on you. Please raise your hands. I'd love to hear from what you're talking about. Scotty and then Adolfo.
So on the buy side, you still have regulatory. There are
Ooh,
some things there's some industries, financial, aerospace and defense, medical, that still have major barriers for building it all yourself because of the regulatory hurdles.
I like that. So when human lives, I have to clarify this, when human lives are at stake, we need those regulations are important. So that would be a reason to not build your own SaaS because the expertise is inside of the SaaS company that already exists. Did I get that right, Scotty?
Well, actually, it's a little bit more that there's certain SaaS products that you might be regulatorily required to use for a long time because that's how the ecosystem works.
Give me an example because I can't think of anything.
So in financials, working at a bank, there are just like massively old systems that will take a very long time to change over. And even if you wanted to customize it and the cost to come down has come down, you'll be trapped in some of these systems that you have to use for a while by the regulators.
Got it. Okay, so let's just get rid of all the regulators. And then, no, wait, reverse that. Never mind. That was a joke. Thank you, Scotty. All right. Adolfo and then Victor.
So I'll confine my comment to LLMs, right?
Okay.
And people, AI equals LLM. I have a completely different opinion, but that's
Yeah.
let's confine ourselves to LLMs. When we talk about using LLMs, we're typically using platforms. And so I think this idea of a build, it's a little has an element of buy because if you want to run your application and you build your application using one of these platforms, you still buy it. You're still buying services. You're not completely detached. It's not the old model where you build a piece of software and ship it on your servers, you protected it, you have full control of it. You don't. You're still using the consumption usage model. You need to pay for it. And if something goes wrong with that platform, you go down. So I think what we're seeing is a redefinition of build, which doesn't have all the features that old build used to have, which is complete control of the IP.
Okay. So, and I want to push back on that because I think this is important to distinguish. And I like how you're viewing the large language model as a platform. I think that's kind of accurate, but you're paying for the service, you're paying for the consumption of that LLM. And if you're building your own SaaS alternative, if I'm the company, I'm switching from SaaS XYZ and I'm going to build it internally, I'm paying for the consumption, I'm paying for the tokens to build what I need. Correct? But once it's built, where are we at that point?
Well, I mean, you said it, right? You're paying for the tokens. You need the tokens on that platform to keep your application running, right? And you're
Not
not.
not to keep it running, because if I'm building a CRM, okay, I'm building or a QuickBooks or a Monday.com. And once I've built it, maintenance and bug fixes notwithstanding, because those would be more tokens in my mind. But once I've built it, it's running. Then it becomes I'm just paying for my own SaaS solution internally on my network.
But I question the concept of internally. Nothing is internal when you're using these platforms that are running on the cloud that they're SaaS, right?
Well, okay. So again, that's the cloud versus, the internal network. So I can have my own internal servers in my office. That would be strictly internal, but I could also have my own internal cloud that I would pay AWS for. It's my own virtual private server. Many people would define that even though it's on the cloud and I'm paying for the usage on the cloud, but that's just the usage of hosting a SaaS tool on AWS or Google or Azure.
Right. So if you have your own, again, I'm confining my comments to LLMs, right?
Okay, yeah.
And so if you have your own LLM instance, all those
Oh, I wasn't
all
even thinking about
all
that. That's
those
right.
criteria that you mentioned apply, and you can talk about internal, but if you're using a platform like OpenAI or Claude, nothing is internal, right? You're
Right.
connected to things. So that's distinction I think we need to be careful about because there's no such thing as a building internally if you're using tokens on these platforms.
But and again, what I'm trying to differentiate is because I think this is important from the SaaS perspective, is the ongoing token usage for QuickBooks. That's not really there. QuickBooks is not about, I mean, from what I've seen, they haven't really added a lot of AI stuff. Maybe they have, but like the core functionality of QuickBooks is just about a ledger. It's about bookkeeping. That's not about tokens. So
Yeah.
I am separating the two in my mind.
Okay, I think what you're doing is you're talking about the workflow you're enabling, which I agree with
Mhm.
you, right? They're not at the low level of calling tokens. You're using that layer that you put together, and we can call it internally, but it's your own, let's say your own version of the application.
Got it. And I like that you're framing this as another layer on top of the SaaS. That to me is the cognitive stuff. That's where we're going to need to get some LLM tokens to play with.
Right.
I love that. Thank you. Thanks, Adolfo. Okay. Thanks for the clarification. Victor, and then we'll go to Michelle.
So I have to ask the question, build versus buy what? And what I mean by that is, let me give you a future example. Let's say somebody comes up with a series of prompts that they sell for $100,000 to all takers. And when you run those prompts, it spits out a full ERP system equivalent to SAP, fully integrated, fully functional, right?
Yep, we've got that.
Right. But now where are you? You're still static. You're static with what you just built, but you still have to staff and you still have to monitor for, and the words came up earlier, regulatory changes, policy changes, global compliances, all the variables that are involved in the background that a SaaS company is doing for your subscription fee, right? So then you have to weigh what, and again, value as it may be redefined at that point, what value of your resources is spent building and maintaining that versus buying that and building other functionalities on it that are perhaps more advanced to AI, agentic AI based functionalities. And in the bigger picture, um, where are you going to be ahead or behind, with each approach? I think that also depends on the size and type of the enterprise, the complexity of functionality, and on and on and on. There's a lot of variables. So, I think part of the discussion has to at least recognize, what what foundation we're talking about building versus buying. It's not just the AI accessories per se.
That's right.
It's the entire suite.
And a little bit of a tangent here, I think that because you're touching on this, is the article from Jeffrey Moore, where he was talking about the mission critical context. So should you not, his argument is you should not be rebuilding the mission critical, rely on that expertise. And I'm seeing like that, we still have the costs of once we built it, we still have those compliance issues, we still have that regulation, and the value of those resources have been misplaced in that scenario. So I think he's making a strong argument of where to build versus buy. Michelle.
I think today there's still the continuity and stability that SaaS provides. And I think this really depends on industry, but really not every industry is going to be able to do the continuous maintenance on custom software or whether it's agentic or not. So there is still that continuity that it can provide.
So that's again a great argument for the buy because we're never going to catch up. The current SaaS solution that's available on the market at whatever price point does not hit a stage where we should just build it ourselves. Okay. Kenneth, wrap us up here. What else is there? What are we missing on this build versus buy question?
Yeah, I think Victor and Michelle make very good points. Is what I was gonna say. It's like if your software is mission critical, then that maintenance is just very vitally important. But I'd say also, just like how much resources does your company have, right? Because if you're a Google, right, you have a plethora of engineers, right? So you can really build and maintain any software you imagine. But it depends on the structure of your company, right? Like if you're working with everybody that's in marketing, yes, you can build a software that helps you, run your campaigns, but that's a very important software. And will people in marketing who don't really know about the software lifecycle know when to, update that software, like Michelle said, maintain it. So that's what I'd say. Like, how many resources does the company
Software
have?
lifecycle. What's a software lifecycle?
like the software development lifecycle. You gotta get the requirements, you gotta talk to your customers, you gotta build the software, you gotta test it, you gotta maintain it. That's
Okay.
DLC. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm asking for everyone else here. Yeah.
Oh,
That's my
yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Love it. And maintain. Okay. Scotty, and then Michelle again.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point that you bring up of maintenance. And it seems to me like where we're going is that a lot of the AI will be able to maintain itself. So there will be this question of how capable is the AI going to be to update itself to our needs and have that ecosystem of the wisdom of the crowd between AI agents than between engineers and users.
Explain I'm not sure I followed.
So, for example, could you have an AI system that is getting best practices from other AI systems? So instead of getting the need for maintenance being prompted by the engineer, the AI is anticipating the maintenance needs and doing it. I mean, you've already got social media platforms of AI talking to each other where humans are not allowed to interact with the platform. And is that where the best maintenance comes out? Like it's the wisdom of the crowd of AI agents versus the wisdom of the crowd of people.
Yeah, yes. I think that's a great point. Beautiful. There was another hand. Did we cover this? I'm not sure. Did we get everything? I don't know. So yeah, this is like the question of build versus buy. I think this is important and compelling. Oh, Ashley just put in I just noticed in the chat. I've not been paying attention to the chat. Apologies. Where's trust? People that are buying are leaning that way because of trust. So it's a good question. Like, what is the aspect of trust here? If you build it yourself, are you trusting that the AI tools that are building it for you good enough?
I think people that still buy are buying because they don't trust that the AI can take the place of the human teams.
Got it.
So if we really get down to why would you buy it instead of build it, the folks that make those decisions, they're going to buy it because they believe that that is more stable and less likely to hallucinate than those that are saying, you know what, all the barriers have been dropped and I'm going to go figure out prompt engineering.
Love it. I love it. Trust is important. Many decisions should be made based off of trust. Cardam, wrap us up here, please. Oh, we got one more. Okay. Cardam and then Milton.
All right. Yeah, a great point around the trust. And I will make a bold prediction that I look at Salesforce and what options it has. And I think one of the best options it has is just to become the marketplace for trusted agents, where you know where they run, you know what they do, and you know that Salesforce will vet them before they're allowed to play in your enterprise environment.
Ooh, I love that. So that's a whole new business ecosystem that Salesforce is playing in. That they're going to host and run and verify and check to make sure that the agents that are running on Agentforce.
Well, they already do that with App Exchange, right? And the point is, it's the trust factor that is the hardest thing to build and maintain. And they're probably best positioned right now to be that enterprise trusted stamp of approval. And yeah, so that's my big prediction.
What I just heard is don't bet against Benioff. That's what I just heard you say. But yeah, thank you, Cardam. Milind.
Or someone else. Someone else can do it. Someone else
can do it. Okay.
Right?
So I love it.
I think most of you guys covered the points, but I want to bring up one thing here, which is the law of comparative advantage, in the sense that sometimes the user may have an option when you go with the SaaS, get different system, different time. Because even if I built it within the company to protect my IP, for example, I work in aerospace, but you are limited by the resources you have, and you may not have the capability to hire the resources, to redeploy them, or again, take them out like Google and other places. But as a consumer, the SaaS, what that provides is it provides that comparative advantage, because I can pick and choose And who knows, tomorrow something else may come up, because even if you develop your own system, tomorrow it may become obsolete because it may not be as efficient as the SaaS provides, because they have the expertise. Sometimes they may have the market niche they're capturing. So I think that's where I believe the value lies in that. I myself, like, as Adolfo was saying, still thinking about this, how this is going to evolve in future, like the agentic AI and everything, becomes so powerful that maybe, it may not be needed as SaaS. But I think right now there is still some value there, especially for the companies who don't have the domain expertise.
I love it. Domain expertise. We keep coming back to that. That is absolutely important. All right, I want to move on to the next section here. But again, just some of my notes here. It's like questions like, has AI permanently lowered the barrier at which building an in-house becomes rational? Where is that inflection point? And if your CTO can now build 70% of what you used to buy, why would you renew the contract? Where's that threshold? Or is it 20%? Is it 70%? Is it 50? Where's the CTO going to be like, no, we're going to just do it internally. So if you're Disney and you spend somewhere between $1 and $20 billion, wide confidence interval, $1 and $20 billion on Salesforce each year to run the parks, to run Disney, at what point does the CEO of Disney say, we could just spin up a little Tushman level business, exploratory business unit, and their mission is to look at every single thing that we do with Salesforce and build it in-house? How many billions of dollars would Disney's shareholders save and benefit from that mission? And it's an experiment, but it's something that we need to, that businesses small and large need to address and look at. All right. So next question is this economic repricing, the sentimental structural shift. This is kind of like, was the SaaS sell-off on, emotional or rational? What were your thoughts on this? Is this drawdown that we saw in the stock market temporary? Is it an overreaction, or is it a fundamental repricing of the risk? And Cardam was kind of betting in favor of Salesforce because they're looking at the marketplace. I think that's really a powerful thing that we need to pay attention to. So what are your thoughts on this stock drop that recently just happened? Is this structural? Is it just a sentiment? Is it a glitch? Anyone want to take a stab at that? Kenneth.
Okay, personally, I think it's mostly sentiment, because I feel the way the companies and the media and the owners of these AI companies have portrayed AI is like, hey, we're gonna have autonomous AI, and then you're not gonna have to do your job anymore.
That's true.
When in reality, right, we're at the early stages of the technology, even though it's progressed. Right now, we're in the infrastructure phase. Like, if you look at the balance sheet, companies are spending millions and billions of dollars on CapEx infrastructure spend. So I feel like people are like, hey, like, where is this AI that, they promised me, where I could kick my feet back and not do work all day? So I think that's one of the main sentiment shifts for why the stocks are down. And yeah, I'll let somebody else talk, because there's a lot to talk about.
No, I love it, Kenneth. By the way, I don't want to work, Kenneth. So dude, let's just hang out. Let's not work. Let's let the AI do it for us.
Yeah.
Life goals.
Yeah.
Perfect. Victor.
Yeah, I think you had Dean first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dean.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, look, I think if I interpret the structural side, I think the big thing, as an investor, saying to Salesforce, right, they're just not going to need, companies will not need as many staff. So that means less seats. If you go on the traditional SaaS per seat, maybe, if they do go outcome based, well, it's hard to measure. It's up to a certain point. But I do think just generally they'll say the number of subscriptions will drop because internally so many cognitive agents will be talking to each other, be able to do, a bunch of things like even their own internal marketing and not need some of the tools or options that these typical SaaS companies have. So you'll just need less options, less staff. So that's, in a way, it's a structural thing. I look at it going, well, we can't afford to have as many people in Salesforce, so drop the amount of people supporting that product, and there just won't be as many seats, and they have to. That's going to be a balance sheet thing. So I just think, and this is going to get really, really, this is going to go like crazy in the next 3 years, especially now with OpenClaw. What that's going to do is going to be world. It's going to change the world. So once they get that security side, we are going to be in a different world. What we're building in CO in our startup, we'll have 150 agents and 20 staff and 100 million turnover.
Yeah.
That's what we'll have inside 5 years. That's a different model. You won't have 2,000 staff or 500 staff. And that's happening today. In OpenClaw, we're integrating it so much into our system right now internally. So
The
it's just it's a
the
big,
security of the claw is a problem, but the good news is
they'll fix
that's
it. They'll fix it.
actively being developed exponentially. It is incredible what's being developed right now. Yep, they're closing it, they're securing it. I'm thoroughly impressed. Victor.
Yes, I have to answer this question with a question. I wonder how many people who drove the sell-off have a true understanding of what it'll take to get where they're betting against. In other words, they're feeling the potential risk. They're trying to mitigate their risk by selling off. It dropped the prices, it dropped the markets, but they haven't had even this level of conversation, perhaps, about what is it going to take to get there? Is the most promising tool the most comprehensive one? Are there other elements of this that are in the technology? Like, for example, can we say that we use AI to spin up our own ERP, but when we want to add a new functionality, we have to spin it up again, and it's not deterministic necessarily, so we get a different ERP. You
Oh,
know,
I understand what you're saying.
those kind of questions may not be fully understood by the ones who are selling off, I guess is my question or point. With
I
due
would
respect to the ones who have gone in the depths, I think there's a little bit of fear or risk mitigation feeding that sell-off.
Yeah, I would counter and I would expect that if you're going to spend the money to build your own, and that new functionality would be part of the one that you built. So I'm not sure you're needing a whole new one every time. That seems like it would be a waste, but that's a possibility.
Right, but
If we're
if
going,
you, I'm sorry, Todd, if you take your thoughts and mine and put them together under the premise of system of record,
beautiful.
where's the foundation that the enterprise is running on? Where's the system of record? And could it change every time you regenerate an integration or add a new functionality or add a new layer with AI enhancements or agents handling things?
Love it. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Victor. Scotty.
To some extent, this is also a question of your time frame,
Okay.
because what markets hate is a non-disprovable bear case. And we won't be able to disprove the bear case on AI, if ever, for quite a while. So that risk mitigation becomes a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy when the time frame of is this sentiment or structural shift, the longer it goes out, the longer the more the market hates that non-disprovable bear case.
Okay. I have questions about the non-disprovable bear case. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so for a great example is with EVs several years ago, you had a huge hit to oil prices because EVs were going to take over so quickly. But it was going to take many years for people to figure out, oh, the uptake of EVs will actually be slower than the original estimates. And so oil prices remained depressed for a while. The non-disprovable bear case right now is, hey, SaaS pricing has just gone out the window. The moat has gotten much narrower for SaaS, but it will take a while for that to be proved yay or nay. And right now it's a non-disprovable bear case.
Thank you for that explanation. I think that's freaking brilliant. Awesome. All right, so sentiment or structural shift. Pulling up my notes here. What did we miss? Is anybody else any thoughts on this? What is there something that we're missing? Um, what else? How are the stock markets, wrong about SaaS? Are they wrong? Are we underestimating this? Um, does AI increase the operational leverage of the SaaS companies, or does it completely destroy it? All right. No comments here. So, all right. So regardless of where we are, of the sell-off is temporary or structural, as Scotty said, CEOs don't want to wait around for that clarity. They're going to make these decisions. The capital allocators are moving, the competitors are moving, customers are moving. So the question now is, if you were in the chair, let me pull up to the next slide here. I forgot about this. So this was I found this off of Goldman. The profit pool in software is expected to shift towards AI agents. So to what Scotty was talking about, it's going to take time. Here's your SaaS TAM, and here's your agentic AI TAM. So the agentic AI TAM is growing up, but the SaaS TAM is kind of taking this dip. I thought this was really insightful. Totally forgot I had that slide. So SaaS CEO responses: build, buy, embed, or reimagine. So I mean, I guess like this I want to ask this, like, what should the CEOs of a SaaS company actually do right now? Should they be building new tools? Should they be buying new stuff? Should they, acquiring other companies? Should there be an acquisitions? Should they embed themselves inside of other companies? And should they just reimagine their entire business models from the ground up? What should the CEO of a SaaS company do right now if you were the CEO? That's the question. Goodbye, Beautify. Anyone want to take a stab at that? Imagine you're the CEO. Say mid-cap SaaS. Oh, Scotty, got your head up. Thanks.
The thing that strikes me about our earlier conversation is that cost of maintenance question. I would focus on where can I be in areas where the cost of maintenance, the expectation of maintenance is extremely high, and the need for customization is low.
Explain why would, if the customization is low, wouldn't that benefit your customer building?
No, because so the reason that you do SaaS, when we did the buy versus build breakdown, the reasons that you do SaaS is that you can basically have like infinite customization to the end user. The reason that you buy is the cost of maintenance remains very high. So if I'm a SaaS CEO, I need to be figuring out, is there anywhere I can position myself where maintenance costs are expected and ongoing, and the need for customization by the end user is low.
Oh, so the customization needs of the customer is low. I misunderstood that. Got it. That's brilliant. That's exactly where a CEO should be positioning themselves. I love it. Andy, and then Ashley.
So one thought I had was, instead of fighting it, like for a Salesforce as an example, maybe start investing in developing your own agentic API. And what I mean by agentic API is having an agent that you can have other companies that want to develop their own agents be able to do an agent to agent conversation. You then position yourself to be a market leader in understanding regulatory needs, being secure, and say, hey, you don't have to develop this stuff. I've already got FedRAMP certified. I'm already in with the governments. I know how to do HIPAA. I do all of that for you. All you have to do is have your agent talk to my agent. And then you can start converting to a consumption model.
Ah, beautiful.
Because now when the other company's agent, they're developing whatever they want to develop, ask your agent to do things on their behalf, you can measure that. And then you just said, well, if you use a lot, we're going to charge you a lot. And you can have one seat. That's all you need. So you're switching your model from, and again, you're not trying to fight against it, because if these companies start going out there and saying, we want our own custom approach, but we don't want to just do everything. We just want the front end. And that front end is important to them, but the back end is where they're going to get hit on the trust side. Whereas like, hey, everything's still sitting in Salesforce, but our front end kind of helps us on a business side.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Perfect. Thank you, Andy. Ashley, and then Gary.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard question to answer, right? Because the SaaS market has had a foothold for a long time, and it's seen as more stable than a lot of other ways to go into business. But I would say if you're a SaaS CEO right now, you need to be thinking about what this industry looks like with using technology to interface for sales 5 years from now. And let's imagine that agentic AI has taken a total foothold of the market and all coding and launches happen with the assistance of AI with a few humans at the helm. And so what does that do to the rest of the market as such a market disruptor? And I would argue that the cost of human capital and interaction goes up, the headcount of people in the loop go down. And so if I'm a SaaS CEO right now, I'm looking across my business and thinking, who are those people that are going to be essential to this transition? I'm cultivating those people and thinking about where they fit into workflow. And if I'm not already looking for ways that AI influences some reimagining of my current business, then I'm already behind. Because someone else could enter that market tomorrow and do it from scratch faster than I can do it with the model that I'm clinging to.
I love it. Reimagine your core and who are those essential people? And keeping your eye on the 5 year. I love it. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Ashley. Gary, what
Yeah, I
should
just
SaaS
have
do right now?
yeah, I just have comments. I love everything that I've learned tonight, but I live globally for a bank. So Scotty, everything you said, I just love. But it's really interesting living in Australia, living in Japan. They asked our company, where is our data? Our data can't leave the country. And you have to prove that it's like a cloud stuff. Yeah, that's all fine, but where's the cloud? But yeah, it's really regulatory stuff. All the US regulatory changes it's a US based bank. So we have to follow those rules.
So when you're talking about the data, where is your data? I think that's really important. So that proprietary data is an advantage. And I think earlier we were talking about how the SaaS company has the customer's data. So
Yep.
if they have it and you're the CEO, you want to do everything you can to hold on to it but isn't there a danger there that you will eventually lose the customer if you're not allowing the customer to access their own data in a way they need it?
Partially, they need a server in every country.
Oh, we'll go get global infrastructure. That makes sense.
So, and that solves that problem because we're talking about global banks, global insurance companies, global. Where's the data? Yeah. So that was a big thing I had to learn, but yeah, I had to learn it quickly.
Awesome.
But
thank you, Gary. Was that your?
I think that's it because that's like from everything else everyone said. I liked what was said, but my experience from working global companies, where's my data? Is it leaving the country? Yep.
Perfect. Thank you, Gary. Victor.
Well, I think of it in terms of value creation, value capture, right? And if I were SaaS CEO company, I would do a hard introspection, a candid introspection into what my true future value is, as Ashley described it, for what I do well. Where am I going to be eroded? Where am I not going to be eroded? And where am I perhaps not easily replaceable? So, in other words, my core, and what do I have to do to that core to continue to create, to capture value for what I've already built within let's say, the framework of this future that embraces AI and agents as well, then I would look for the opportunities for the expertise that is missing from my value in the AI world per se, to say, who can I work with, either to partner with or to lease from or to co-develop? Because of course these things have what I would call handshakes. None of them are just going to reach in by themselves and do what they have to do on your system. So where can I co-develop to create new value, participate in the consumption pricing to whatever degree is appropriate for what I contribute to that aspect, but also continue to capture value from my core.
I love it. Thank you, Victor. Kenneth, and I just saw Cardam's post in the Zoom chat, compliance as a service. Oh, that we could spend hours on that. Kenneth, and then Scotty.
Yeah, Todd, I'm not gonna lie. Victor said what I was gonna say, but in a more like eloquent way. But I was essentially gonna say, like, if I'm the CEO of Salesforce, right? Well, depending on how much money and resources I have, right, what I'm gonna think about is like, okay, where's our greatest churn, right? And in that particular place, this is where I'm going to look to buy companies who are good at doing that, like what we aren't, like, so capable of doing, right? And they're innovating, they'll innovate faster than us on our weaknesses. But in terms of what we do well, that's where I would personally want to double down, right? Because in the future, there's like an agent. Imagine there's like a AI agent app store, right? Well, we want to be the company who does our agent the best, right? Like if we're Uber, we want to have the best AI agent that books you the rides fastest and most efficiently. So I double down on what we do best, and then with our gaps, partner with innovative startups, bring them into our company, increase our valuation, make our stakeholders happy. So I was gonna say.
I like that. And partnering with other startups, there's corporate venture capital. Those are definitely options so that you're reducing your own internal risk to your shareholders and partnering with a startup, and that money goes to them. Beautiful. I love it. Scotty.
Yeah, the like your original question, I think, was build, buy, embed, or reimagine. The embed, I think, wherever you're able to embed AI to bring down your own costs and increase your own innovation is where you embed.
So increase your internal innovations. Yep. Love it. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Scotty. Cardam. Compliance as a service.
No, actually, it's really to what Kenneth said, and it's really, having been old enough to go through and witness the like M&A explosion that happened during the first .com collapse. I'm naturally looking at this and I'm seeing echoes, and I'm like, okay, yes, this is a SaaS bubble that for many reasons was a giant bubble that needs to be collapsed. So if I take it up a level to like, I think Victor nailed it for what every CEO should be asking, period. And then there's a level up from that, which is, okay, if I'm in finance right now and I'm fueling M&A, or I'm going out and looking for companies to buy distressed SaaS assets, what would I buy and why? Like, what are the actual tangible assets that SaaS companies have that they can either leverage into their next era or sell off?
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually what kind of had sent me down that like trust route, because I think it's customer bases, because if you have the captive users and customers, if they haven't churned, you have something to build on. And then there's just a trust factor of this is a trusted enterprise technology brand that could evolve into whatever it needs to become next.
Okay. And that you
really
would acquire.
Different from most SaaS applications.
Sorry, yes. Love it. Thank you, Cardam.
Fast and easy has been their mantra, and that's not going to be very valuable going forward.
Okay. No more fast and easy. So, Cardam, thank you. Swapnil.
You know, Todd, the question you're asking is what would happen to these SaaS companies in the long term, right? I
Yes.
think the only way they're going to survive is if these SaaS companies become the platform companies, as in, the Amazon, the GCP, the Azure, they're not selling any specific solutions, but selling a bunch of microservices or whatever you want to call it, right? And you can put it together, anybody who has the capability to put it together to come up with a tailored solution for them, right? Now, today, the ability to do that, right, it required that technical expertise, and that's what is getting democratized with your solutions like what is it, Cloud Code and others, right? So if that is the case, why would I ever buy? I mean, I'll give you my specific use case. For years on my, I started my company 3 years ago. I had on my whiteboard, move to HubSpot as my CRM, right? Because I built my own, something that worked for me, right? But of course, I always had this thing of, oh, I need to add this feature, I need to add this feature, I need to add this feature. And I was always waiting for the development help to be available, right? So I would work on a few things at a time as a project, right? And it's funny. I mean, literally had a meeting set up with some developers, and I see this Claude code coming, and these guys are still talking about writing a requirement specs, and then we'll give you the budget. No, tell us your budget. We'll tell you the price. And literally in one day, I finished three things I would have done it in 3 months, right? With Claude code. So the question is, if that is the case, why would I ever buy a suboptimal generic solution? Which means the future I see is all these companies that have built the expertise in different domains, say finance, sales, whatever, CRM, they would have to offer some kind of a Lego block infrastructure that everybody can use to build their most optimal solution, right? Because I'm not going to build that spreadsheet from scratch or some fundamental, geolocation algorithms or APIs, right? I'm not going to build that, but I would like to combine them and do that, what is the word we use? Architectural innovation to create a
Yes.
solution that works for me, right? But I'm not going to spend the money or the time in building fundamental solutions. So which means for these companies would have to kind of give me that generic infrastructure, the platform. I don't need your software, the bulky, the stuff that doesn't really work for me, but I would like your fundamental building blocks. So I want these, the way these SaaS companies could grow and, retain value is by becoming those Lego companies.
I love it. I love it. That is an absolute brilliant solution for CEOs. Thank you, Swapnil. Victor, wrap us up.
Yes.
What are we missing? What should CEOs do right now?
I'm sorry, but I was going to get a little philosophical.
Go for it. I love it.
I couldn't help thinking when I was reading the pre-material and listening to the discussion tonight, which has been great. Before SaaS, what did we have? Everybody built their own. It was all proprietary. It was all custom. It was all everybody chasing the next accounting rule or the next compliance requirement. And then SaaS came along and quote unquote standardized it, centralized it, made it readily available for a cost and for some for an extreme cost. But I couldn't help but observe that this conversation is bringing us over the hump of that back to everybody building and having their own. And in the long arc story, I'm wondering if that's 100% where we're headed, if that's the right outcome, or is it just a possible next step because it's more cost effective to build proprietary because of the new tools that are out there? And by the way, what does all that mean in terms of what the right next step is to remain profitable, cost effective, compliant, best use of resources, best use of latest technologies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It raises a bigger question than answer for me, but I just wanted to toss that out for the group.
Beautiful. Love it, Victor. Thank you. So, again, this is an uncomfortable situation. There's no right answer here for every CEO, regardless of the vertical or horizontal or the industry that they're in. But these incremental responses, add AI, reduce costs, shift the pricing. History suggests that when a business model truly shifts, incremental adjustments rarely win, which is thus the SaaS is dead question. So last thing we're going to talk about, let's zoom back, take a step back, one more level. And what genuinely replaces, what survives, what replaces SaaS? Is there something else in the post SaaS era that Victor was just talking about? So if SaaS is dead, what actually replaces it? If SaaS as we knew it is fading, what is that new business model? What does it look like? What are the features? What are the value propositions? What's the value creation, value capture? And okay, how about this? If we banned the word SaaS right now, what would we call the next thing? Kenneth.
This is just to start off the discussion, but I imagine a global marketplace, right, of different vendors creating their own, solutions that have specific value propositions for customer segments they're familiar with. For example, if we take a look at MCP servers, for example,
Yes.
right? I imagine the future being something like a marketplace. Obviously, it's not going to be called MCP, but it's like, hey, here's like the document. If you want to use our services, we allow you to, and like have fun. And we're going to keep on developing these MCP servers to give you more capabilities so you can do more with our services. So I imagine it as a global marketplace of like it's like a global app store for your needs. Yeah.
I like the global app store kind of. And again, we've got the beginning stages of this with the A2A protocols that have been developed and the payment protocols. So the foundation of those have already been laid. Andy.
I would say one of the main things that things could shift to in terms of business model is really focus on outcome-based pricing. Because right now with SaaS, everything is just you have access to the system, but if it improves your business or not, has nothing to do with them.
So I love that you're bringing up the outcome base. What has to happen for that to be true, for that to work? What do we need to change for outcome-based solutions and business models to exist?
Well, I mean, traditional SaaS providers have to acknowledge the AI front end. They have to work with the business and say, hey, based on how we work with you to develop your business and increase your revenue, we just want a cut of it. And whether we put an AI front end or you just use a traditional SaaS front end. That's
So how do we
traditional
know?
SaaS could do it.
So, but how do we price that? How do we build out a business model that's going to say, so we're the CEOs of a company, new business model, and we're focusing on outcome based for our customers. How do we know what the outcomes are going to be? How do we measure them? And then how do we get a cut of that? What does that look like? Oh, did I lose Andy? Oh, I lost Andy. He's muted. Okay. Who is next? I lost track of the hands here. I think Victor was next and then Cardam.
Sure. I have to interject that there's a predicate question to if SaaS is dead, what business model replaces it? I would have to understand what tech stack replaces the SaaS tech stack before I could even begin to construe a business model.
Why would the tech stack be relevant in any way, shape, or form here? I'm confused.
Because it goes to the conversation tonight about businesses running on a system of record.
Oh, okay.
What does that look like without SaaS? And where do I find cost efficiencies in a different tech stack? Like, for example, if everybody writes to blockchain and nobody needs an ERP with a finance system anymore, for example, right? what does that mean, and how does my business model change? Um, to bring it out of the depth of that question to the conversation, I think the business model has to do with the delivery of products and services using the most effective technologies for your business, whatever that means, and taking advantage of the efficiencies of what I'll still summarize as the automations offered by agentic AI and whatever comes after that.
I love it. It's a great question to ask. What is the tech stack? And once we've defined the tech stack, other components fall into place. That's what I'm hearing. Cardim, you got your hand up.
Yeah, so I was actually going to speak to your question, Todd, about what do you need to understand to have outcome-based pricing?
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually directly related to what Victor just said, because I think what needs to happen is the vendor then needs to understand what are your KPIs that you want to measure and have enough access to your data to be able to show you performance against those KPIs. And that requires a tech stack that enables you to have better visibility into your data that sits across the tech stack.
So with the cut and the cut, you're assuming that the customer would allow the vendor to
That's
see
what
the
I'm saying,
data.
is you need to provide a trusted platform enough that they would be giving you the ability to understand how they're using your system and what of their data is important to the KPI measurement.
Okay, I love it. Anyone else? Andy, your hand is still up. I know you got muted there. Did you want to throw in anything? Carter, were you done? I didn't want to interrupt you. You're okay. I got a nod up. So Andy, I'm going to skip. I'm going to Kenneth.
Yeah, I think this outcome-based business model is interesting because now, SaaS, you're paying for a software. What if I can promise you that I have a system that can take you from X, let's say, let's use social media, for example. I have a system that you can subscribe to, and that system is my own tech stack, proprietary. I have my own AI agents, and based on your KPIs, I can take you from 10,000 followers to 50,000 followers based on, my previous clients, and my system's just so good at this. For instance. So I feel like that could also be a possibility where instead of just se- instead of just selling software, you're selling outcomes in the form of systems that we've spent countless hours architecting and we've refined, right? So
So how would you go about? So I love that. That's an incredible value proposition. If I'm the customer, if I'm your customer, and my money is directly correlated to the number of followers I have, right, Kenneth? How do
yeah.
you guarantee that I'm going from 10K to 50K followers? And that seems like, am I getting a full money back guarantee? Because if you don't meet that outcome for whatever reason,
Mhm.
does it mean I don't have to pay you?
Yeah, it could possibly, but I guess it really depends on how you negotiate that. It's like, hey, Todd, I'm not gonna promise you I'm gonna get you 40K followers in 24 hours. However, if you typically my clients take, 3 months to get to this outcome, and maybe it could be something like, hey, pay us an initial deposit. And if you're not at, let's say, if we're using followers as a KPI, if you're not at 10% higher number of followers than you were at the start, then it's kind of like we're creating that trust, right? So yeah, I'm just thinking off the top of my head.
These are the things that we're supposed to be thinking about. Because
Yeah.
if SaaS is under this massive pressure with AI, how do we
Yeah.
navigate this? What business model potentially replaces it? All right, I
Fair.
know we're basically past time at this point. Does anybody have any last comments? Kenneth, did I get you? Did everything?
Mhm.
You're good? Okay. Anyone else want to wrap up this thought? Because I do want to move forward, do the debrief, and then we can hang out for some overtime because I know it's getting late. All right, so I'm just going to move on. It's a little bit of a, let me stop sharing, move over to the other slide deck. So this will make life easier for me. Okay, can you guys see this debrief? All right. So, we started with the business model that looked unbreakable with recurring revenue and moats and multiples of seats. AI is now introduced into this equation, and that is incredibly disruptive. What is clear is that AI does not just add functionality, it actually compresses the time. It lowers that marginal cost of expertise and democratization and creativity and cognition. And it weakens the SaaS differentiation regardless of the horizontal or vertical. And it also increases the buyer's leverage over the SaaS company, that build versus buy. So every time technology that does that, it doesn't really kill industries, it redistributes the power. Some incumbents adapt, some get acquired, some vanish. And the question is not whether SaaS survives as what I'm referring to as a label. I think the question is whether the next dominant companies will look anything like what the ones we see today. So if you were founding a company tomorrow, because this is HBAP startups, would you even build a SaaS product? Full confession, I'm building a SaaS product, and I know right now where our troubles lie. And our strategy is going to be to build the data that is in fact customized. It is a moat, and we will build the machine learning models that are completely proprietary. That is our hope for existing. So that's where we are today. And hopefully one of the founders who create these new business models will be the next trillion-dollar company. And the only question is whether they're in the room with us tonight. So a couple of things that I have, some video. I got one video.
If I had to guess about what has changed from 2021 to 2025, is that most companies have realized that buying yet another vertical software solution is not going to help their business. That it typically adds bloat, it adds cost, and it adds people. And I think starting in 2023, what people started to guess is at some point in the near future, you're going to have some AI way of rewriting all of this vertical software. And I think that's why it stopped growing. I don't think this SaaS market ever had the return on equity that it was supposed to. And I think so many companies have woken up from this hangover saying, there's got to be a better way. It can't always be yet another tool, yet another program, yet another multi-year delay, yet another price escalator. And I think that the jig is totally up for software.
You're referring to the Salesforce and the SaaS category, Chamath, and what you're doing at 8090 specifically, yeah?
Well, it's not just us, but like if you look at anybody that's rebuilding software, it is so much easier to rebuild software from scratch today. Like my team of 30 people can transact hundreds of millions of dollars of work, not because we are so prolifically amazing, but frankly, because, well, I think the team is good, but honestly, because the underlying tool chain gives you a level of leverage. And so if you rebuild the software development lifecycle using these tools, you can't help it but become much more efficient. And you can't help it but deliver custom solutions that are meaningfully cheaper. And I think, Jason, if you look at the entirety of the software that runs the world, we're going to rebuild it. Soup to nuts, all of that.
And the tool you're referring to, just for the audience, is the AI co-pilots that are contributing 30, 40% to code bases at Microsoft and
not
Google.
Less specifically that, because those are good for individual people, but the software development lifecycle is more the horizontal end-to-end of making things.
Got it.
So if I had to guess, what we do internally at 8090 is we have an entire process that starts from the PRD all the way out to the functioning code, and we use different techniques at each step. But what you get is a 50, 60, 70% increase at each step, which then compounds. If I had to guess. Yes. And so you have the ability of a team that would otherwise be able to service tens of millions of dollars, be a team that can service hundreds of millions. And then a team that would otherwise service hundreds can service billions.
Let me ask you guys your...
I'm going to pause that there. I think I forgot to hit the end edit point on that. So that was Chamath. I'm not going to try and pronounce his last name. I apologize, from the All In podcast. Brilliant analysis of SaaS. That was, I think, from 7-8 months ago. This is a syntax SaaS index to kind of just show you more data of what just happened. Um, this was from Reuters. The sell-off wipes out nearly $1 trillion from software and services stocks as investors debate AI's existential threat. So we've seen these drawdowns in the past, but now we're experiencing yet another one. Why stocks have dropped and what it signals for software's next chapter. This is a report from Bain. Software growth has declined in recent years, driven by slowing net revenue retention. And AI could automate between 30 and 50% of activity across these various functions. Great article. Actually, I should put this into the Zoom chat for you guys, in case you want to read this. Paste. Doot. There we go. And the one of the pre-reading papers that I assigned everyone, upgrading software business models to thrive in the AI area in the AI era. I think this is an absolutely fantastic forward-thinking component on this. And by the way, like they said, was it 33% of the companies surveyed, saw productivity impact at scale. And this is despite the MIT report that was showing 95% failure rate of AI return on investment. I think that report was very flawed. And so these are just some of the exhibits from that report. And I like this fourth slide because it's showing the quantity and price and the different AI plus SaaS consumption pricing model types by the best fit. And I think this is something that the future CEOs really need to focus on is if you are adding the consumption-based pricing on top of your business model, if you're combining the two, these show you the mechanisms. This chart shows you the mechanisms for success. All right. Lastly, because I love to show this, my students, I do this in the age of AI. The only future where we thrive is through our human relationships. So please do connect with me on LinkedIn. Please like and follow my stuff. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And join me for my office hours, which we will meet tomorrow. And if you can't catch it, that'll also be posted on YouTube. And lastly, I just want to say thank you all for joining me tonight with this live session discussion. If you enjoyed this and you want to do more of these things, please let us know because we absolutely can do more. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to stop the recording, and we're going to stick around for some overtime.